Hello all, my name is John, and you're watching Tattuner, the channel where we explore art, music, and the creative process. Today on Tattuner, another auspicious beginning, another new series to add to our already sprawling collection of new series. This one will be named Piano Shop. Now, I've introduced numerous other series here on Tattuner pertaining to art, to piano, to music, to different things I'm doing, different categories of activity of mine. But this is probably the last major group, the last large series title that we're going to roll out until we've revisited all our already planted seeds. So Piano Shop will be the last of them until we have gone back through and contributed to our other series, as we can't just only start things. We got to do things too. So that's what Tattooner's all about, doing stuff, doing creative stuff. Now, today, the inaugural subject matter for our new series, Piano Shop, is called the Grand Key Set. I have a client, a wonderful client, who just took possession of a glorious old Steinway grand piano. And I do mean old. We're talking 137 years old, built in 1888. Wow, that is an old piano. But boy, this thing is terrific for its age and the condition it's in. It has had some extensive work done on it. The soundboard has been repaired, the hammers, the shanks, the wippens have all been replaced. Other things have been done to the piano. That said, my client asked me to advise him on any additional work it might need now that he had taken possession of it after it sat for a while in the prior owner's home, kind of unregarded for a long time. Well, the piano is in great shape, no doubt, but it did need some work, and one of the things I advised was that Mark have me take the key set out of the piano and recondition it. It was, in a word, filthy. Very dirty, very dingy, very neglected. And I mean, we're talking about just a strictly cosmetic matter that doesn't really affect the sound of the piano in particular, but it does affect the attitude of the player. And that is my focus in this particular case, to give the keys as much of their due attention as the rest of the piano has had, since I believe that they were kind of left out of the last couple of efforts to upgrade the piano. So you and I are going to go on a little journey of giving them a once-over. As you will soon see in the video about to play, I undertake a 6-step process to recondition these keys and bring them back to life. It involves first numbering them so that they're easily identified, more important than you might think. And then I go about cleaning them in a couple of ways, sanding them down in a couple of ways, masking them off, and then applying some lacquer. And then finally we take the white keys, the naturals, to a buffing wheel to clean up their key tops and make them shiny again. Now, I don't want to spoil it for you, but things did come out beautifully, and I do hope that you will watch to the end to see how this process works. And in particular, I say that because I'm excited to tell you that this is going to be my first two-parter, the first video I've ever produced long enough to reasonably break into two halves. So we're going to start with part 1 today, and then part 2 will come soon enough. In the meantime, I invite you to sit back, relax, and take in the enjoyable vibe of working in the piano shop with me, John, here on Tattuner. So we successfully removed the keys from our client's piano and safely transported them to the shop. We put them out on the work table here, and as you can see, I've arranged them in a certain way, and I've added to the table a number of items. These are the principal tools and materials that we're going to be using for our cleanup. So let's move in for a closer look, and as you can see, generally, they look pretty decent. There's really not anything really wrong with them, at least it doesn't seem that way at first. But if you come here and do this, we kind of reveal the problem. Or should I say, we reveal the challenge. And thankfully, it's not the most challenging thing you do in pianos, but I personally regard it as no less important. In particular, that stripped away lacquer on the sharps and the dirty oil-covered wood on the sides of the naturals. This piano is well over 100 years old and had ivories originally. These key tops have been long replaced with these plastic or acrylic pieces, and they're basically okay. But whether you can see it under this light or not, they're pretty scratched up. So after we clean the keys and deal with the lacquer and deal with the sides of the naturals, etc., we're also going to take these white plastic tops, and you can see there, if you look at that glare, you can see they're pretty scratched up. We're going to be walking these over to the wheel with some plastic rouge, which we have right here, and we're going to be buffing them out. So let's look at our other materials. We've got lacquer for the sharps. These sanding sponges will be for the sides of the naturals. That's what we're going to use to clean those up. We've got this water and soap with a rag, of course, just to do our basic cleaning of the key tops. We've got more sandpaper over here and some tape for some masking and some special sanding needs that we may encounter. And then finally, pencil and a sharpener. And in particular, and now friends, this is Tattuner. These details are important here. That's an H, which is a soft lead, a relatively soft lead. Why? Because we're going to be writing new numbers somewhere on these keys, in these old keys, and we want that lead to push into the wood a little bit, leave a lot of dark graphite behind, and let us get through our numbering quickly. If the lead we used was too hard, that wouldn't happen. In fact, it would be a terrible mess. So more on that when we get to it. We will probably polish these brass items in the back. These are called capstans. Capstans, C-A-P-S-T-A-N-S, capstans. These are called back checks. They also have a function, along with these holes, which are called bushings. A lot going on here for just some basic sticks of wood, but that's a piano for you. Every little piece is quite important, plays an essential role, and kind of can't be spared. And that's why working on pianos is such a beautiful process. Every little piece is a craft project. Every little piece is a small bit of engineering that needs to be kept in tolerance. Everything with the piano is both artistic and scientific at the same time. It's really quite a joy. Okay, everybody, so you can see, got the keys out. I've explained what's going on, and now we're diving in, as it were. Taking a group here, and the first thing we're doing is the numbers. It's easier than you might think to confuse a set of keys and what order they're in. Although they do have these very kind of unusual shapes. When you really look at them, they're really quite different. Each and every one of them is quite different, like a tooth in your mouth. They all have their place, but they can be surprisingly easy to mix up. So, numbering is important. Now, the basic idea is don't spend all day, but don't do it quick either. You kind of have to strike a balance. I got a little bit of criticism and whatever scrutiny early on in my career as a technician for seeming to want to do, you know, like a medieval manuscript level calligraphy on each key when I was numbering them, when of course that's not true at all. I'm a trained graphic artist, so I was just kind of going for clarity. Not to mention my dad would like threaten to throw me in front of a freight train if I didn't print or write more legibly when I was young. Actually, he was quite against my printing, quite against that for a long time. And the writing was necessary in his eyes to be quite good. And then, funny enough, I ended up working with him for many years in his shop, at which point we did switch over to printing. But the printing was very technical in nature. It wasn't about, you know, writing out your homework or anything like that anymore. Now it was about the specific job number or the parts or the specs with respect to the job. And boy, I thought he was serious about homework. My God. Yeah, the attention to detail there was quite sought after, and no regrets here. The shop environment I dwell in today is a direct outgrowth of the shop environment my father spent his work life in, especially the later portion where he worked on his own. So the imprint I have for being in a shop and working in this manner is from him, while my creative passion and my creative ideas are more a product of my mother and her side of the upbringing experience. But that combination has been a potent one for which I've been very grateful all my life, and always quite appreciative. So lest I get any further off track, here's a group of keys. What we're going to do is holding them in place. You see I've straightened them out very carefully. I'm going to take a clamp. This is an old clamp. Boy, I've had this forever. And carefully bring them together. There we go. And just grab the bunch and hold them down so they're nice, flat, solid together. This piano only has 85 keys. It's an older Steinway. All pianos nowadays have 88, as you probably know. All right, there we go. Now, finally, at long last, clamped up, all flat, take our sponge. Oh, wrong sponge. Pause. Okay, so we've got the right sponge now. It's like a medium and a fine. Using the medium side on this very old surface, you'll see right away how quickly it'll lift up. Here we go. See that? That's more time than wood. That's basically just dust and soot and particulate from the air with a little bit of the topmost fibers of that wood coming right up. And that's what we want. Most of the time on piano keys, the numbers are stamped or printed or written right about here, as they are in this case. Even though these numbers are stamped in here, literally stamped into the wood, a lot of times they can be easy to confuse, like 3s and 8s and 5s, etc. You can't mess around with this kind of thing. It's just a piano, but keys can't be out of order. These fundamental things become very important when they become the entirety of your focus. Okay, so this is key 69 through 85. So I will now, with my H, I mentioned we would come back to this. Here, let's revisit this subject for a moment. This is my H lead pencil. The H lead is a very soft lead. When you go up to 2H, that's lead that you would like do your math paper with or your basic drawing with. 3H and 4H are for careful drafting projects and things like that, and so on. And then going the other way, HB is an even softer lead. It's almost like a charcoal pencil. This is just hard enough to control the numbering, but also just soft enough to get into the wood a little bit and leave a nice legible mark. Okay, so now it's just a matter of putting the camera on the tripod and forgetting about it. You are watching Tattuner. So now we accelerate, and as we do, we grow. We expand, our world expands, our output expands, our artistic awakening expands. So on that lofty note, please like and subscribe. Where are we? 52, 53, 54, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 60. We're getting through this reasonably quickly enough. Down to my last group here.
And perhaps whilst I finish up these last few numbers, I should clarify that I certainly am one to be in for some criticism now and again. So some of that early scrutiny in my shop experience with the numbering of the letters and the numbers, we're doing it, so to say, not 100% unwarranted. But the thing about me is, if I go to excess for some reason or another, I'm likely to be dragging a brand new idea you didn't think with me that is there waiting to be discovered. So I always am bringing something creatively to what's going on, even when it seems like I'm overdoing it. I'm the one you want around if things are going to be overdone. That's what Tattuner is all about. All right. The identification of the gift. My gift, your gift. I'm hoping to be someone who models the process of finding your gift and nurturing it. Technique, materials, tools are all out there to be learned about, discovered, and acquired. There's 150, there's 1,500 other YouTube channels dedicated to those details. You're going to get those details here too. But mostly I want you to see what happens when someone who's been walking the path of the artist since they were literally a few years old does with those materials and tools and such. Even the basic ones. Technique and goals and ability and accomplishments are something meaningful. But so is prayer and meditation and contemplation. And just the act of putting ink to paper or graphite to wood can be a sacred practice in the middle of a busy day. Even if it looks like I'm just overdoing it for nothing.
Hey everybody, back again. We actually never left, but we are transitioning all the same to the next step here, which is going to be the cleanup. The spray bottles and rag I had at the beginning of the video are kind of put aside. They were somewhat props. Instead, we've got now a bucket of just basically a little soapy water and a good old-fashioned terry cloth rag. And what we're going to do first is we're going to separate the sharps. Relatively little commentary, I think, during this section of the video. Let's get right to it. All right, here we are, ready to go. And all we're doing is just dipping into the soapy water and working at the tops of the sharps. Just the key itself. We're not really dealing with the stick yet. Just gonna wipe it down. Get the front in particular. Decades of, certainly many years, with the grease and oil from our tips of our fingers that when we play the piano gets deposited onto these surfaces. And you can get some fairly dirty buildup there. So, for all good reasons, we clean them up. And look at this, we've added a fun new detail. We've got a black cloth here to dry them off with. So we're not going to leave a lot of moisture there. We don't need any glue joints failing at this point. Another thing about working on pianos, whenever you accept work on a piano, you accept all the piano's problems, and they become your problem if anything goes haywire. So if you break something while you're fixing something else, guess who pays for it and is responsible? That's right. If you're any kind of honorable person, that's how it goes. So, I'm going to dry these off, lest they come unglued while I'm cleaning them. Also, let's have a quick look here. This rag is basically clean still, right? Look at that. Let's have a look at it afterward when we're done. After we do these 36 sharps, maybe 35. So the ones on the ends are likely to be a fair deal cleaner. It's always the middle section of the piano key set that gets the most use most of the time, and subsequently accepts the greatest deposit of dirt, etc. So regarding the dirt in the middle of the keys here, it's certainly coming off. However, what's becoming plain to me is something I didn't mention initially, which was that we may not be looking at a buildup of material on the keys like dirt and grease as we get toward the middle of the piano, but rather a removal, a wearing away of sheen, a wearing away of the lacquer that provided the shiny finish. I can see now it's probably both. We are losing sheen as we get toward the middle. Yeah, now I can see the grain of the wood of the key underneath the lacquer showing through. So, all right, fine. That's a little different. It's not good or bad, it's just different, but now there's confirmation happening here. Usually one or the other, or a combination when you're dealing with a situation just like this one.
My administration is just that once the mail gets sent, sometimes it comes in a pile so big, it's so easy to lose shit in this building. It's absolutely criminal. So, but that's not your fault nor mine. So I'd be. Yes, absolutely. Yes. When would you like me to call you?
Sure. I'll tattoo it on myself. Okay, so let's assess the situation quickly. I've done the nice cleanup here, and absolutely have revealed not only did we take off. Let's check now. Look at that. It's an appreciable amount of dirt and grease and stuff that we lifted off these keys, so that's definitely good. What's interesting is that these are ebony keys. These are old-fashioned, actual ebony wood sharps. One could strip all the lacquer off and just put them on the wheel with some black wax and just wax them, which is a popular way of doing things. I'd love to do that, but it's not in our budget. No real more attention is in the budget to deal with the tops of these sharps. Our focus is the sides. where the lacquer is just gone completely. So we're gonna refresh that. But what I think may end up happening is that I may have a word with my client about maybe expanding the scope of the project to include some of these other details now that we're getting to be able to see them underneath the dirt and all the rest. So let's move the sharps out of the way. Now we're going to clean these naturals. Let's rinse down. Now these are really not that bad at all, but again, there's a layer of grease there and time and dirt that's just been sitting. We should like to remove the top part. One. Let's see, how many more to go? 50 naturals. All right, so once again, this is going to be quite monotonous and not a whole lot of commentary could be offered, but if I think of anything profound and unignorable, y'all, dear viewers, will be the first to hear. This is Tattuner, the channel where we explore art, music, and the creative process. I'm John. Thanks for watching. All right, last key. Did not take super long. I don't even think an hour. Pretty good for otherwise kind of monotonous work, but we most definitely brought up and removed a lot of dirt here. There was somebody had clearly spilled a candle off the edge of the piano somewhere onto the keys over here. There's a lot of wax coming off there. A little more dirt and grime in the middle, and then kind of easy on the ends. But otherwise, fronts, tops, everything looks a lot nicer. These keys were actually just a slightly off whitish kind of dingy color. Now they are essentially white again. They look very nice. All right, that was easy. What do we do next? Now we're going to move to the sanding. Now we're going to tackle the sides of the naturals with the sanding. There's grease, oil, dirt, time, all needs to be removed, and our principal tool for this operation is going to be the sanding sponge. The sponge has a nice rigid, flat, dimensional surface, but gives a little bit at the same time. It's just what we need. Sandpaper, too spotty, too uneven. Files and rasps, too aggressive, no need. The sanding sponge is quite the thing. So let's see. We don't want to do that right in here because it's so dusty and dirty. We're going to move things, but let me show you the basic idea. Let me find a dirty one here, a fairly dirty one. Okay, here we go. Take your sanding sponge and go like follows. These surfaces are sometimes a little uneven. That's another reason the sponge is good. It lends the flatness of its shape for evenness, but also can flex and press into gaps a little bit to get the hard spots without having to switch to a different material or tool. Okay, here we go. Now, let's compare. Okay, see the difference? Now, I said this before and I'll repeat it. This is just cosmetic, this is just for the looks of things, but tell me an artist that doesn't want his best tools in his hands when he's working, or her. Tell me the person who doesn't enjoy the clean aesthetic environment in which to do their thing, rather than someplace that feels like it needs a once-over. I get it, exceptions are out there. I love a good mess, but not when I'm playing piano. So, again, you see the obvious difference there. So by way of just upkeep and pride and respect for the instrument, we proceed with this particular operation. But don't let me act as if I need to justify it. I always think this is a good idea. I'm never unhappy to do it. It always looks better because it is better. That area where all that missing black is, that's the lacquer worn off of the sharp key. There we go. Oh, I like this. 6 pieces. And starting to get it. Cottonmouth, that is, excuse me. Just brush a nice, generous amount of this lacquer to fill in those wood fibers.
So there's this whole industry out there that looks after pianos, and you know, you're called a piano technician when you do that. Interesting. What do you think? You think I think I'd probably do that? What do you think? He's like, oh, dude, what are you kidding me? You'd be like amazing. You'd be like one of the best ones out there. I'm like, go on. Let's not get carried away.
Yeah, you thought we were done today. Oh, no. No, dear viewers. The result here is excellent. Just excellent. And there it is, my friends. The Grand Key Set, Part 1. Thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. Let me just jump right to that. I mean, this was a long one for me, and it's only halfway over. We've got another whole video to drop relatively soon, so I really mean it when I say thank you for watching. It was a joy to put the effort into this longer production, and such an enjoyable opportunity with this subject coming my way through the natural course of my work, and be able to bring to you all the rigors and the joys of the process of restoring these keys to a much more beautiful condition. So please do come back for the next video where we will continue the process with the, let's see, what are we going to do here? We got to sand the naturals, then we're going to lacquer the sharps, then we're going to polish the naturals, and that's going to wrap it up. And then we got to bring the whole thing back to the client's house, put the keys back in the piano, and carry on with our larger operation where we're going to overhaul the piano. We're going to regulate it and tune it and do some other cosmetic work to it. So we got a lot of work to do, and I really can't wait to share all of it with you here on Tattuner. So, my dear friends, thank you one final time for watching. Please like and subscribe, and help me turn Tattuner into something we can share with the whole world. And until our next meeting, please be well.